Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is, what is today, the 23rd maybe? Yeah, I think it's March 23rd. I haven't actually looked today. Something like that. Anyway, I'm out here on the shelter there for the tractors and the trailer and whatnot. And I just put up this polycarbonate. And I know that it should be floated because it has a real big thermal expansion issue. But I got a 1/4 of an inch clearance on the top, and it can push down, and there's a little bit of a gap between it. We basically are trying to keep the birds out. So anyway, I got the 2 doors made, and before I put sheathing on these, what I need to do is make a pin. I got to put some more 5/8 plywood on here so that this can all have the same elevation. I don't have to deal with that with a steel. I'm going to put an angle iron up here with a slot in it, a pin with a spring, and I want to have it so that it can flip around and it'll lock it up. And then when I swing it all the way out, I want it to be able to drop down into the ground. So, because when it's all the way out, you got to make sure the wind won't move it. That's what my biggest problem is. How much travel can you make on one of those spring setups? I think I can do what I need to do, but anyway, it's going to take a lot of, it's going to take a fairly long piece of angle and a fairly long rod, because what I want to do is have it so that when you, I was going to put a spring on it. I don't know if I will or not, you know, so that when you go in and drop it into the hole, the wind can't shake it up and have it come out. If it does, it'll be catastrophic to the other hinge, because we're going to put a, you know, a hostile hinge on these 2 pieces of plywood here. So anyway, I'll bring you along when I do the fabricating. Okay, I've been hunting around the shop. This is actually the fan shaft to a John Deere B or an A, I don't remember which. And they're not big enough for a 5/8 rod, but if you run a drill through them, they are. So I did that off camera, just a quick drilling job. And I'm going to weld that just like so. Actually on, yeah, it's going to go this way, I think. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. This will get you out closer to the center of the door. And it's going to be under the hitch of the trailer, so that is fine. So I'll go ahead and weld this on like so, and I got to bore probably 4 holes through here for the screws. I'm going to use some pretty rugged anchor bolts, probably light duty on the bottom because I don't want to split out the bottom. And then once I get up here where there's some, you know, away from the end grain, I'll put some fairly substantial screws in it, but basically 1/4 inch holes up through it. So I just went outside. I put an inch piece of wood right here so that this is going to be an inch off the bottom. That's the bottom of the door. That's going to be my first set of screws. I'm probably going to put 1 in close and then 1 out here so that it'll have 2 down at the bottom where it gets a lot of load. Then I'll put 1 in the middle here and 1 over here. And so I'll use 4 of these screws. These are pretty substantial screws. I'm going to drill the holes the size of that shank right here just under the head. And that should anchor that plenty strong enough. Yeah, let's see what this thing's set up for. While that's powering up, this here is the setup I've got. I figure it's close enough. I'm going to tack it on this side, then I'll flip it over, weld the other side, then I'll flip it back and weld this side. So anyway, it is set up for 3/16. A little light. So let's see here if we can get that up to 1/4 inch. I guess we ought to go to. Which way does it go? Whoop, right there. We'll call that it. Pretty good rig. It sets itself. You don't have to be very smart to run it, which is good for me because I am not a welder by trade. A long ways from it. So anyway, you hang on. I'll get a stand. Okay, let's see what we can do. Good tack. Beautiful. Whoops. I don't draw a very straight line, but I don't think it'll break, you know, it's just holding the pin. So we'll let that cool. We'll go on out and I'm gonna mark it and drill the hole in the concrete first, and then if I need to slide it in or out, I can do that before I put the screws to it. So we're inside the building. I was outside a minute ago and I sighted across the bottom and everything is where it needs to be right there. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna hold that like so. And I don't know what you guys can actually see, but we'll drop this piece of stainless down through. I don't really know what this is. It may not even be stainless. I know I used it a while back on some stuff and I could not cut it with a bandsaw. It's extremely hard. I had to grind it with a grinder to shorten it. So, there's the magic spot right there to drill. So, we'll force the doors open a little bit. And we will see. I don't know how loud this is going to be for the camera. It might be too loud, but if it is, turn your volume down. Of course, now I can't find the damn plug-in. Should have been ready. Oops. Let's see how this goes. Concrete soft and putty. So now, yeah, that kind of, not really as much clearance as I wanted. Probably should have. Yeah, now if my finger was smaller, I could tell where my tight spot is, but go in there all right. Just a little bit crooked. I think that now I'm tipped out a little. Gotta take a little, get a little bit one off this back. I don't want this thing to get in there and get bound up. I think that'll do it. I think that's down in far enough. Well, anyway, I gotta go and swing this open. I gotta put this piece of 5/8 on it, and I'll bring you back in a little bit. Well, I can't see the back screen, guys, so hopefully you can see that. We will see here what happens if we put a screw in it. Oh, shoot. I'm right-handed and I'm doing this left, so this may not go quite as planned. just what I want. Put 2 more of those big screws in. This top one will be the one, because if it walks it either way, then we'll be in trouble. Ah, come on. Let's get that out for now. Ooh. Boy, when that bites up, it bites up. Get rid of that. Oh, sweet. We got 2 of them in on the high and the bottom. We got it made. Ooh. Hard on the wrist. Beautiful. I don't think the wind's going to bother that. Now I got to go put a handle on the top. That drops it in there nice. I'm going to go put a handle on the top. And yeah, I just wonder if this opens up. We'll open it up here where it needs to go, see if that's going to be long enough. Hopefully it will be. I think it will. Sure. Put a handle on it so we can just go like that. That's all you need to do to keep it from, you know, blowing back against the camper when you're pulling it out. So yeah, real simple. Like I say, I'm going to go put a handle on the top of this. So I just welded a 7/16 bolt onto it. And it's weird. The stuff welds like butter. Like I say, I don't know what this stainless is. Yeah, don't know. Okay, let's see how this thing fits now. Probably make you dizzy going in a circle, but there we go. One open it. Oh, got a handle on it. And I don't know if these poles have moved at all with the frost. That's one of the reasons I wanted to put a handle on it, in case I got to twist it to get it out. Because stuff could move. There's still frost in the ground here. But anyway, that's going to be good enough. I'm going to put one of them pull chain rigs on the top that I haven't made yet. That's probably going to be the next thing we're going to make. But anyway, I'll probably make that in the next video. A funny little story though. I'll tell you a story about this steel. Oh, you know what else I got to do? I got to make something here to set that on. Yeah, I don't know. I can pick it right out, I guess. I don't have to. So it'd be nice though if it was held up, but that's all right. Yeah, I like it. So I'm going to tell you a little story here. For those of you who are fairly new to the channel, I got all this steel here. This stuff here is all steel. I don't know what type of steel it is. I don't know whether it hardens, whether it doesn't harden. I just know it all came from the same machine shop. And I'll tell you the story of how we got it. The flat stock did not come. Just all the regular inch, and most of it's 1.125". There are some inch, or there used to be, and there's a couple of 1.25", but most of it I think is 1.125". But I'll tell you the story on that. So anyway, I'll tell you the story about that steel. Back in the early 80s, machine shop where I grew up, my father was real close friends with a guy. They did Model A together and everything, and he had a machine shop, and he did all kinds of stuff for the military. And this stainless that I can't cut with my bandsaw, that came from there. So my father was wanting a piece of steel for something. He happened to ask the guy, he says, you know, I got a piece of steel, he says, some scrap. And I think at the time we was looking for inch or something. And he says, oh heck, he says, you should have said something a couple weeks ago. He says, I just threw out 100 pieces probably. And my father says, really? He says, yeah. He says, all kinds of it. He said, it's over the bank. He says, you can have all of it if you want. He said, we're just going to bury it. Which was, you know, back then, nobody thought nothing of that. It wasn't worth much for scrap. I think scrap back then was $30 a ton. So he could have called a scrap man and, you know, they'd have dubbed around for $20, $30. He was busy, right out straight. I think they was running night shifts at the time. So anyway, me and my father went over and we pulled and pulled, and we couldn't get it all. I mean, we pulled probably 50, 75 pieces out. And we've used a pile of it over the years. Made crowbars and everything you could imagine. And, you know, it rusts, so it's regular steel. It's not like it's Monel, although there is 8 or 10 pieces of Monel over in that other pile where the stainless came from. It's real black, you know, until you make a pass on it. It just looks like a black, I don't know. It's black. Anyway, the Monel is. And I've probably got close to 200 pounds of Monel here in the shop. Some of it's big pieces. And, you know, that stuff's worth like $20 a pound. I think it's worth almost more than silver is. It's crazy. But anyway, and all that didn't come from that shop either. I had some of it came from another place. But anyway, we hauled it home. This was back 40 some years ago, or 40 years ago anyway. Jesus. Yeah, I'm 63. Yeah, it would have been close to 40 years ago. And been moving it around. First it was in the barn for years, and then my father says, Jesus, take that out of the barn. He says, we'll put it down in the shop. And then my father says, well, it's in the way down here. He said, take it over to the barn. He says, you got a machine shop. So it ended up over here. And I still pick at it, but it seems like I always want a piece of 3/4 inch or a piece of 5/8. And that stuff's all basically inch and an eighth and up, because we've used all the inch, I think. But anyway, that's where the steel came from. And, you know, it's too valuable to throw out. And like I say, I don't know what type of steel it is. Could be most anything. But it was one of these deals. The reason it was thrown away, I should tell you that so that you'd understand a little more. Anything for the military has to have a serial number on the piece of steel, and it has to be carried with the parts that are made from that steel. So if you go to the bandsaw and you got to make 10 2-inch pieces, and you take 20 inches off, or 25 inches with a kerf and everything, and you start on the serial number end, when you get done, that leftover piece has no serial number on it. And they weren't allowed to re-serial number a piece to be used for later. You had to work everything from the other end and then put the serial number with the piece. So every now and then, guys, when they was in a hurry, you know, like I say, they were running 2 shifts. When guys were in a hurry, sometimes they'd throw a piece on there, they'd need a couple of pieces, and they'd cut the wrong end of the steel off. And of course, they'd get a little ash chewing, and they'd throw it over to the side. And after they got 50, 75 pieces there underfoot, finally the owner says, throw that stuff over the bank. And that's how we ended up with it. Kind of an interesting thing, just right place, the right time. I'll never use it all, you know. If a friend of mine come up and says, hey, you got a piece of inch and an eighth steel, you know, I'd hand it to him, you know. But just one of those deals. So anyway, that's going to be it. I got that bottom done. I'm real happy with that. We've got enough time on this video. I'm not going to put any more on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this one out to say, keep safe, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.